AI tools like ChatGPT are changing education, but not all uses are acceptable. This presentation will explain why AI is strictly forbidden for writing assignments and clarify when it can be used responsibly. ChatGPT and AI tools are changing education, but their use must follow clear rules. In other words, AI can be a helpful tool, but there are strict rules about when and how it can be used in discourse. This course strictly prohibits AI use for writing assignments. However, it may be possible to use AI for some other learning activities. Keep in mind that AI tools include not only ChatGPT, but also tools like Grammarly, Copilot, AI translators, and more. If you are not sure if an app on your phone or computer is an AI tool, ask your teacher. The objectives of this presentation are to explain why AI is not allowed for writing assignments, to clarify possible uses for AI for other learning activities. Listen carefully to this presentation so that you can avoid being penalized for using AI in a way that is forbidden. One of the reasons why AI is not allowed for writing assignments in this class is because students must develop writing research and thinking skill before using AI as a tool. This course focuses on developing essential academic skills, including outlining and writing academic paragraphs and essays, identifying main idea and writing topic sentences, forming original arguments and providing evidence to support them, self-editing and proofreading, which means identifying and fixing mistakes, connecting, organizing, and synthesizing ideas, making inferences, paraphrasing, and summarizing. And lastly, understanding audience and tone and recognizing bias. Before using AI, students must first learn these skills on their own. In other words, these skills are the basis for success in any academic studies. If students start using AI too early in the learning process, this will prevent them from learning these essential skills. The reasons why AI is not allowed for writing assignments in this class can be summarized into three main groups. Using AI for writing assignments prevents skill building, it creates unfair advantages, and it increases plagiarism risks. Specifically, AI leads to a lack of skill development. This is because AI-generated writing prevents students from improving critical thinking, organization, and editing skills. To explain, when students use an AI like ChatGPT to write a whole paragraph or essay for them, or even just to make an outline before writing a draft, these students lose the opportunity to learn and practice organizing their thoughts by themselves. And this is an important skill that students need to learn. Then AI can also cause problems with fairness in grading. To clarify, assignments should reflect each student's individual ability, not AI-generated content. That is, writing assignments should evaluate students' ability with writing, not their ability to use AI to write for them. Although learning to use AI technology to assist writing is also important, the purpose of our class is for students to learn to write in an academic style. Lastly, AI increases plagiarism risks. This means that submitting AI-generated writing violates academic integrity policies and thus may lead to penalties. This is because when a student uses AI to do her writing assignment, this is plagiarism in the same way as when a student copies another person's writing. Thus, in the same way, this is not acceptable. It may lead to penalties. In the end, students who use AI now to do their assignments for them will struggle later in university and professional work. Another important thing to understand is that not following the rules about AI in this class will be considered academic misconduct. In other words, not following the rules about AI is cheating, and this will be penalized. Some possible consequences of AI misuse include warnings. Assignments that include AI-generated content may need to be rewritten. Another possible penalty is loss of credit. Assignments that include AI-generated content may get a penalty for the AI-generated part. In addition, even if some students succeed in using AI tools without getting caught, they will suffer from long-term impacts. Specifically, students who rely on AI to do their assignments for them may face difficulties in future courses and in professional writing tasks. For example, in the future, you might be required to write an essay while under supervision to make sure that you're not getting help, and thus it might be hard to do the assignment if you have not learned the necessary writing skills. The official rule for GLEO classes is included on this class syllabus. It is, submit your own work. Violation of the GLEO generative AI policy will be considered academic misconduct. Different courses at EWA will implement different AI policies, and it is your responsibility to know and conform to the expectations of each class. GLEO does not allow generative AI use in writing assignments. Please ask your instructor first if you are confused about AI use in this course. Make sure that you understand this rule, and if you have any questions, ask your teacher. Here are some examples of improper use of AI. The first example is copying AI-generated text. If a student copies and pastes a full AI-generated essay into their assignment, this is a misuse of AI. Why is this wrong? This is similar to plagiarism because the student is copying work that was not made by the student. Again, writing assignments should be written by the student, not by other people, and not by ChatGPT nor other AI tools. A second example is using AI to revise an essay. In this case, the student asked ChatGPT to rewrite and improve her draft. This is also wrong because editing and revision are also important skills that have a part in learning to write, writing process that students must learn themselves. A third way of misusing AI is when a student uses AI to translate the entire text into English. Using AI to translate long pieces of text, like a whole essay, is wrong because instead of learning to write the essay in English, the student is having the AI do the work for her. The same problem happens when students use AI tool to translate complete sentences or paragraphs. This is also a situation in which the student is using AI tools to do the work that she needs to do herself in order to learn important writing skills. In the end, AI-generated writing is an academic misconduct, which means that it is wrong and it can lead to penalties. Thus, if you are not sure in that way that you want to use AI, if you're not sure if it's acceptable, make sure that you ask your teacher before you use AI, especially for writing assignments. As we have seen so far, AI tools like ChatGPT should never be used for writing assignments because doing so interferes with the learning of writing skills. However, there may be other possible ways to use AI technology as a learning tool. Essentially, these other ways are when AI tools are used in ways that are similar to when we use search engines, such as Google, Naver, and so on. For example, when we want to search information about a certain topic, we often use Google, Naver, or some other search engine. In a similar way, it is okay to use ChatGPT to ask for information about a topic. An important thing to remember is to never copy the answers that we get from ChatGPT into an assignment. Another important thing to remember is that ChatGPT can also sometimes be wrong, especially about facts. Thus, instead of asking ChatGPT about facts themselves, it is better to ask ChatGPT to tell us where we can find the information that we need. Thus, ChatGPT can recommend some online sources that will help us to find the information that we need. Another way that ChatGPT can help us with information is when we need to look up vocabulary that we don't know. ChatGPT is actually very good with language. Thus, one way of using it is to ask for definitions or synonyms of words that we don't understand. Another way that ChatGPT can help us with vocabulary is by creating examples of sentences with words that we don't know how to use. In addition, we can also ask ChatGPT to create vocabulary exercises, like fill-in-the-blank exercises, to help us review the vocabulary that we need to study for an exam. Also, we can use ChatGPT to check grammar rules. This is another acceptable way of using ChatGPT to help our learning. Similarly to when you look into a grammar book to find out how to use a verb, how to make a complete sentence, how to avoid fragments, and so on, looking up grammar rules using ChatGPT is also acceptable. In other words, you can ask ChatGPT something like, how can I identify if a sentence is a fragment or a complete sentence? Or we could ask, give me examples of sentences that are complete and examples of sentences that are fragments, and then explain to me why some sentences are fragments and others are complete sentences. Like this, ChatGPT can be used to help teach you some things that you don't know or don't understand about grammar rules. Learning about writing structure is also something else you can ask ChatGPT for help. For example, if you need to better understand how to write a topic sentence, you can ask ChatGPT to give you examples of good and bad topic sentences and to explain what makes some of them good topic sentences and what makes the others bad topic sentences. In addition, you can write examples of topic sentences yourself, and then you can ask ChatGPT to check if they are good topic sentences or if there are problems with them. And then you could also ask ChatGPT to explain why some topic sentences have problems. Other potential use for ChatGPT include getting help to understand difficult concepts. For example, if you don't understand what a controlling idea is, again, you can ask ChatGPT to give you explanations about that, and you can ask ChatGPT to also provide examples. ChatGPT is also great for generating practice exercises. For example, when you study for an exam, you can ask ChatGPT to create sentences with blanks, which need to be filled with vocabulary that you have to learn for the exam. Another way is to ask ChatGPT to generate quiz questions about the materials that you have to study for the exam. Then, after answering the questions in these exercises, you can ask ChatGPT to check your answers. Then, if you got some answers wrong, you can ask ChatGPT for explanations, or even better, you can bring your study materials that you created with ChatGPT. You can bring this to your teacher and ask your teacher for the things that you don't understand. Remember that ChatGPT makes mistakes, so it's always better to check with your teacher when something is not clear. Another thing that you can do is using ChatGPT for summarizing academic policies. For example, the rule that says that you should not use ChatGPT for writing assignments in this class is several sentences long and it's in English. So you can copy this sentence in ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to translate it to Korean to make it easier for you to understand. Again, always remember that ChatGPT can make mistakes. Thus, especially for academic policies, in the end, it's always better to always confirm with a teacher about how the rules should be applied. Lastly, you can use ChatGPT to help you find study strategies. Specifically, you can copy the list of objectives listed on the syllabus and ask ChatGPT to help you find ways to study so that you can learn the necessary skills and meet the objectives. Like this, ChatGPT can help you learn in a way that is similar to a tutor. Nevertheless, always remember that ChatGPT should not be used to replace your learning. ChatGPT can be used to help you learn, but not to do your assignments for you. And also remember that if you don't know if the way that you want to use ChatGPT is acceptable or not, always ask your teacher first. To summarize, remember the following 3 things. First of all, always follow the course objectives. The course objectives are listed on the syllabus, and it's important that you learn the skills that are listed like this on the syllabus. Thus, whenever you are trying to practice or learn one of these skills, it's important that you do the work yourself instead of asking ChatGPT or an AI to do the work for you. In other words, develop your writing and academic skills independently before you think of using AI. Remember that especially for writing assignments, you should never use AI. This includes not only ChatGPT, but also Grammarly, Copilot, translation apps, and others. This means no brainstorming, no drafting, no editing, and no revising with the use of AI when working on your writing assignments. Lastly, although AI tools should not be used for writing assignments, it may be possible to use AI tools responsibly in non-writing tasks. One way we have seen for doing this is that AI tools can be used to find information. For example, if you're writing an essay about the negative effects of smartphones on people's health, and you have already done a brainstorming and you have made an outline, but then you need details like statistics or scientific explanation to help support your opinion. Then you could ask ChatGPT to help you find internet sources that could provide such information. And as we have seen, you can also use AI tools to help you understand vocabulary, to learn grammar rules, and to give you some tips about how to study and prepare for exams. Most importantly, remember that violating AI policies may lead to academic consequences. In other words, if you use AI in a way that is forbidden, you may get penalties. This means that you could get 0 on an assignment, or you could get some warnings and have to redo the work and so on. When in doubt, if you're not sure if it's okay to use ChatGPT or other AI tool for something, ask your teacher first about AI use before using it for coursework. AI literacy is important for the future. However, only after students develop their own skill will the use of AI be beneficial. That is, using AI tools to do your work for you means that you will not learn the skills necessary for a successful academic and professional life. And remember that if you're not sure about something related to the use of AI for classwork, ask your teacher. Now that you better understand the rules about the use of AI in GLEO classes, let's test your understanding with a quiz.